I like to start all of these by saying it took me a little while to understand Emeriti, and so don't feel bad if it's taking you 3 or 4, times of seeing the materials or hearing about it to understand really what it encompasses, because it can be a lot. So just give yourself a break. And Joe is here with us. Joe Minetti is here from Emeriti. He's been here for 5 years, I think we decided at the last seminar. And so he knows everything about everything to do with Emeriti. Yeah, I just want to put some boundaries around that. So if you have any questions, this is the great person to ask. With our last session, we had the same number of people as we have right now. So they pretty much just jumped in when they had a question, and it seemed to work really well. So feel free to do that if you have a question. Just kind of stop Joe mid-sentence and get your question addressed.
Don't feel just like I'm at home.
Yeah, exactly. So it's all yours, Joe.
Thanks, Carrie. Carrie said my name is Joe Minetti. I'm the Director of Marketing at Emeriti. And this is our annual campus visit where we come out and update you on the Emeriti program, how it works, and what the benefits are of the program. And this year we're doing things a little differently. We typically have 3 sessions that are about an hour and a half each. What we've tried to do is really target sessions more towards folks that are early on in their career and thinking about why they should save for retiree health. Those folks that are thinking about retiring and getting closer to retirement. And those 2 are we're calling mini sessions, and they're about a half hour, so we can get you in and out real quick. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to help you with that. And then also a retiree session, which is more in-depth, and that one is a full hour plus to tell you about the program and what's available Medicare-wise, what's available for the medical plans that we're offering through the program. So today, the session that you're sitting in on is essentially for folks that are not quite ready to retire, still thinking about savings for healthcare expenses and why you should save. Just to give you a quick overview at SVU, the university is making contributions on your behalf into a tax advantage savings account called the Viva Trust account. Those contributions start for all benefit eligible employees as soon as you turn age 35, and you will continue to receive the contributions for 25 years. Currently, for this year's contributions, they total about $900 a year that are going into these accounts. And they're going to grow on a tax advantage basis for you. So by offering the Emeriti program, the university is providing you with a tax advantage way to save for health expenses in retirement, money that they're contributing and money that you can also contribute into these accounts. The program also gives you access to guaranteed issue group health insurance in retirement. So wherever you retire, whether it's here in the Seattle community or down in Portland, Oregon, or Portland, Maine, you'll be able to have one of these plans that'll be available to you, and it'll look exactly the same no matter where you retire. So you'll be building up assets on a tax advantage basis. You will have access to guaranteed issue group health insurance through the program. And as Gary mentioned, we come out each year to keep you updated on what's going on with the Emeriti program, what may be changing with the healthcare reform, and potentially changes in Medicare. And I noticed that no hands went up, so nobody's sat in on any of these presentations before. In case you weren't aware, the Emeriti program started in 2005, and we partnered with, at that time, Fidelity to do all of the investment, management, the record keeping, the trust administration on both the accumulation and disbursement side. And we used a third-party administrator called Claris to administer the reimbursement benefit that we offer through the program. We're migrating away from Fidelity, and starting in January of 2012, we're breaking up those record-keeping services between 2 organizations, TIA Prep and SAVS. So starting in January 2012, TA CREP will actually be doing the record-keeping, accumulation, record-keeping, trust services, as well as the investment management. So any funds that you've had currently, if you're receiving contributions or if you're making any voluntary contribution, those funds will migrate from Fidelity to a similar TA CREP fund. So essentially, available to you was the life cycle mutual fund as well as money market accounts. So the dollars that if you have any dollars in those accounts currently, they're going to migrate from Fidelity to a similar type fund with TA CREP. And that will occur during a blackout period that's going to start December 29th and will run through no later than January 15th. So any dollars you have in Fidelity will transition over to TA CREP. You'll get a statement, a year-end statement from Fidelity, basically showing a zero balance in your account, and then it'll show the dollars that are transitioning from Fidelity to TA CREP. And then early in January, you'll get a statement from TA CREP showing your new opening balance, which should be the same balance that moved out of the Fidelity accounts. So you'll have the same funds that are available to invest in, the same life cycle type funds, as well as the money market. And then starting in the second quarter of 2012, there are going to be some additional funds that you're going to be able to invest your dollars in. There'll be proprietary TA CREP funds where it's specific to TA CREP, as well as non-proprietary funds from other organizations that you're going to be able to invest your dollars in. So that's TA CREP's role. Sabbath, you may or may not have heard of Sabbath. They're an organization out of Philadelphia. They've been around for a little over 40 years. And basically they're a benefits consultant firm. They work with active as well as retiree health benefits. And they will be doing all of our disbursement record keeping for the program, which basically means when you do eventually retire, they will be making your insurance premium payments for you through the Emeriti program if you choose an plan, as well as administering and adjudicating claims for the qualified reimbursement benefit that's associated with the program. The reimbursement benefit, as today, you can use a mail-in claim form to be reimbursed for qualified medical expenses. And we'll talk about that a little more. And starting in probably the second quarter of 2012, we're going to be offering a debit card. So not only will you be able to mail in your claims or fax in your claims, but you'll be able to use a debit card to reimburse or make payment at point of purchase for qualified medical expenses. So that's Savit's role. The insurance side of the program is staying the same. Aetna, again, is offering the plans on a national basis, group insurance, a guaranteed issue, nationally as they've done in the past. And if you were an organization that is domiciled in Minnesota, it would be Health Partners. But you would pretty much be under the Aetna umbrella for the insurance portion of the program. And there was a handout that kind of shows what the plans are that are currently being offered through Aetna. So how do the accounts work? As I mentioned before, SBU is making a contribution on your behalf for all individuals 35 years old and older for 25 years, and that contribution currently is $900 a year. And you as well can make contributions into the account on a tax advantage basis or growing tax-free. You can make contributions through payroll deduction, so you can carry a call and say you want to put $50 a month into this account. If you make contributions, voluntary contributions we call them, they would be on an after-tax basis, they would grow tax-free, and they come out tax-free. So all the growth would be tax-free, and then when you use them in retirement to pay for insurance premiums or qualified medical expenses, they would come out on a tax-free basis. You can also make contributions, if you'd like, through what we call an ACH transfer. So a direct electronic transfer from your banking account That feature will be available the second half of 2012, and you can do that either on a lump sum basis, a one-off basis, or a reoccurring basis. So if you wanted $50 a month to come out of your checking account and go into this tax advantage savings account, you can set up that reoccurring transaction. Yes?
So if an employee is not yet age 35, so they're not getting the SPU contribution, can they still make their own?
Yeah, good point. Yeah, so basically as long as you're a benefit eligible employee and under age 35, not receiving the university's contributions yet, you can make voluntary contributions. Right. So those dollars are going to grow on a tax advantage basis in those TA-CREP funds that we will talk about. And then when you retire, you're going to be able to use the dollars in there, again, tax-free to either pay your insurance premiums through the Emeriti program or to utilize the reimbursement benefit through the program. And that reimbursement benefit is really like a flex spending account for retirees. So any qualified medical expense that you may incur in retirement, you can be reimbursed for those expenses. So the funds, and we touched on this earlier, are going to be the TA-CREP retirement class life cycle funds. So those funds are going to transition from Fidelity to TA-CREP into the map into the same fund that you're in currently. If you have made a allocation other than the default election in these funds, you will need to reallocate those dollars into that account. But if you haven't, they'll just map over into the same life cycle fund that you currently have. And then the other option currently would be the retiree class money market account that's available through TA-CREP. These are the life cycle funds that are available through TA-CREP, and the ticker symbol here for the stock market. So if you wanted to do any research on these to see what type of return they are providing and some historic history, you can just use another service like Morningstar or something and go in and do some research on it. Just to give you a quick overview of how life cycle funds work if you don't know how they work. Each one of these funds has a year associated with it, and that year is your assumed age 65 retirement. So when you turn 65, whatever year you're closest to, that's the fund that your dollars would be defaulted into. So in my case, 2020 fund is the closest default fund for me. So if the university is putting dollars in and I'm putting dollars in and I don't tell or direct where those funds should go, they will automatically default into the age appropriate fund. So in my case, it's the 2020 fund. Now you can always move the dollars in the fund to any one of these other funds. So if you were a more aggressive investor and wanted to move it out to a 2040 or 2045 fund, those funds actually are more heavily invested in the stock market or in the equities. So they're a little more aggressive because we're assuming that these folks have a longer horizon, investment horizon, before they retire. Likewise, if you're more conservative, you can move into the 2010 fund or the retiree income fund or the money market fund. The beauty of a life cycle type fund is that as you get closer and closer to retirement, these funds automatically rebalance and become more conservatively invested. So my 2020 fund in 5 years is going to look like the 2015 fund. So it'll have less exposure to stocks. And then it's going to look like the 2010 fund until I get basically to my retirement age. So it's kind of a safety net. So if you don't make any allocation changes at all, you'll become more conservatively and appropriately invested as you get closer and closer to retirement. But you can always change into and out of any one of these funds. Why do you need to save? A lot of people think that when they retire that Medicare is going to pay all of their medical expenses. That would be nice if it was true, but they don't. Medicare currently is paying about 64% of your medical expenses in retirement. supplemental private insurance, which are the plans that are associated with this program, pay about 11%, and you actually, out of pocket, pay about another 14%. So all of your expenses will not be covered, medical expenses, in retirement. And there was a study done by the research group at Boston College last year showing a couple age 65 retiring, and this was for 2010, what their expenses would be in retirement, their medical expenses. And if they had no nursing care expenses at all, they incur about $200,000 over their, this is assuming that they live their normal actuarial life expectancy, which is about another 20 years or so. And if they did have nursing care and home expenses, it would be over $250,000. So you really need to start thinking about putting some additional dollars away, especially if you can do it in a tax advantage way. In retirement, if you're lucky enough to pay off your home, about a third of your expenses are going to go towards medically related, or 30 of your dollars are going to go towards medically related expenses in retirement. So it really will be the number one cost that you'll incur in retirement. So what are you saving?
Quick question on that. So was that over the 20-year period?
Yes, yes. Yep.
So you pay a quarter of,
Yeah. You know, for two individuals retiring.
that's at 14% out of pocket.
Out of pocket and things
It's on top of Medicare.
Right, things that may not be covered by Medicare or insurance, your deductibles, your co-pays, your Medicare cost share as far as your Part B premium. When you retire, you'll have Medicare Part A and B. There's no premium associated with Medicare Part A. Part B has a monthly premium that's currently around $100 a month. So, yeah, I mean, that's $1,200 a year right there just for
Can you
yourself.
figure that on an annual basis, how much that is per person?
What's that?
That amount, would that,
But well, it's over their lifetime. They did the study. I don't know that they broke it out.
but that, that might be
Yeah.
less scary, or maybe,
Yeah.
so maybe you don't want to say that. But if that sounds like, what, $5,000 a year per person?
Well, you figure.
6,500.
There you go. Yeah.
Also depends on whether you bought a supplemental plan and which one. You know,
Right,
it's gonna
right,
be-
right.
Well, that's what they get, right?
Well, there was insurance that's
Right.
mixed in.
Right. So that includes the premiums for the supplemental insurance, as well as the Medicare Part B premium.
Joe, how currently actuarially sound is the 20-year assumption? If someone retires at 65 and they're obviously still alive and kicking, that you're suggesting 20 more years, is that enough? Or could we actually assume that we might live longer than that and we might need to be saving more?
Yeah, that's probably on the low side. I mean, the actual number may be 20 years for a male, 22, 23 for a female.
Because life expectancy of birth right now is about that, but if you're already this
If
age
you've reached that
now,
point, that's right.
I think your life expectancy you could easily see.
Yeah, that number is conservative.
It's very conservative.
Yeah.
So just something to keep in mind is that you may need more than you think you do.
Right, exactly. So some of the things that you will need to save for, again, as I said, Medicare cost shares and Medicare Part B premium, which is currently about $100 a month per person. Supplemental health care premiums, out-of-pocket expenses, and long-term care insurance if you're looking at utilizing long-term care coverage. This slide, you probably have seen this 100 times, 100 different ways, but really what it boils down to is really trying to depict the power of compounding interest and of saving early on in your career. So for this particular individual, it shows someone making a $100 a month contribution into this tax advantage savings account and earning 7% on their investment. And I know 7%, everybody would jump at that today. But what we're looking at is called long-term investment return. So we're utilizing a 7% investment return. So for example, for someone who started saving today and they saved for 30 years, they put away $36,000 of their own money, earning 7% in tax advantage account. They've got almost $123,000 after that 30-year period. So you can see that brings that individual close to what the amount was before that we were talking about from a savings standpoint. What we're looking at here is an individual that just received a $1,000 medical bill. And we're trying to show the advantage of having both taxable dollars and tax-free dollars in retirement. So if this individual received a $1,000 doctor's bill and used the reimbursement benefit of the Emeriti program, she'd be able to take $1,000 out of the account or be reimbursed for that $1,000. 100 cents on the dollar, essentially. Take out $1,000 and be reimbursed for $1,000 for that bill. If an individual decided to use the money out of their 403B plan, your dollars that grow in 403B are tax deferred. So when they come out, they're fully taxable dollars. So if you utilize the money in your 403B plan, you need to take out about $1,400 to pay that same $1,000 medical bill. So financial planners tend to say that it's a good idea to have both taxable and non-taxable income in retirement. What are your next steps? If you want to make voluntary contributions into these accounts, and again, they're after-tax dollars, if you do a tax deferral or a payroll deferral, you would just contact Carrie or one of her colleagues, and they'd be happy to set that up for you. And again, as I said earlier, you also have that ACH vehicle that you'd be able to use starting in the second half of 2012. With our new partnership with SAVIDS and TI-CREF, we have the ability now to target individuals more closely during their life stage through employment here at SPU, and you'll be receiving many more communication pieces to keep you updated on what's happening with healthcare and also reasons to save for future expenses. I would encourage you to visit our website. It's just recently been revamped, and there's a wealth of information on that website that probably would give you a little more insight into retiree health expenses when you do retire. And to register for the Emeriti dashboard, this is a new function that will be available starting early part of 2012, and it's something that will be run through SAVIDS, the record keeper for the disbursement side of the program. And what it basically is you're going to be able to log on and get a snapshot of your account balances, what is available to you when you actually do retire as far as plans and what the premiums would be, as well as if you had retired or left the institution and were using the reimbursement benefit, to get a history of what the reimbursement benefit payments have been and the status of any outstanding reimbursement benefit. So it'll be a really nice tool to have. So as far as what's new for 2012 and what are some of the impacts, and we touched on a lot of these. Again, as I mentioned before, we'll have that blackout period from December 29th through mid-January. It should be no later than January 15th. The service center, the good news is the Emeriti 866 number is staying the same. That's not changing. So you'll still be able to utilize that number. The hours now for the service center will be 9 to 5:30. And again, the service center will be staffed by TI-CREF, SAVIDS, and individuals trained specifically in the Emeriti program. The reimbursement benefit, where you're able to submit claims for qualified medical expenses to pay yourself payback or be reimbursed for those expenses from the account. Once you've sent them in, it can be done either via mail or fax, which we couldn't do before as far as fax. And that new debit card will be coming out sometime early in 2012. The dashboard we touched about on quarterly statements. Right now, you're receiving one annual statement from Fidelity if you have dollars in the account. You get a statement usually late January, early February. You'll now receive quarterly statements from TI-CREF as well as from SAVIDS to show what your account balances are. And then we talked about the enhanced investment options. Those should be coming the second quarter of 2012. Again, both proprietary and non-proprietary funds through your TIA prep investment option. Fees for the program have pretty much stayed the same. They're similar to what they were. The Emeriti fee is $5 during your active employment. TA prep 67 cents. The Sabbaths is $1. And then in retirement, the Emeriti fee stays the same at $5. TA prep stays the same, 67 cents. And the Sabbath fee goes to $6. And that's because that's typically when all the heavy lifting or all the transactions are taking place, the insurance premium reconciliation payment and the qualified reimbursement benefit. Here at SBU, they're generous enough to pick up the Emeriti fee for you both in active employment and in retirement. So you don't need to worry about the Emeriti fee during your working years as well as in retirement. And how do you get more information? I think we've really kind of hit on all of these. The service center, again, you can call at any time. Enrollment kits, when you're getting ready to retire, you'll receive an enrollment kit. It'll let you know exactly what you need to do. Each year we come out and do these workshops, so if you want to come out next year and get updated on the program, you're more than welcome to. Website, like I said, you want to stop by and visit that. And then the dashboard and life state communications and quarterly statements we pretty much touched on. So if you have any questions at all, you can always call the service center. I won't direct you to Carrie. But she can answer any questions that you do have. So that's, and you can get some more information on the Emeriti program. That's it. Trying to keep you to a half hour. It's difficult.
It's a lot.
Yeah. And like he said earlier, you have to hear it 2, 3, 4 times before, because it's a lot of different features and functions in the program.
So right now, if you're not retirement age, all of the various plans that you might be looking at on these pieces of paper don't apply to you. You know, because you're not going to be signing up for Medicare and getting on one of those plans. So I would say don't even really pay attention to them unless you're close to retirement.
Right, these are all post-65 plans, so you have to be at least 65 and retired and enrolled in Medicare Part A to participate in these plans. They'll always be available through the program, but they may look different each year because as Medicare changes, we kind of adapt to what Medicare is doing and change the plan. Any question? Looks like.
Thank you. Thank you very much.